What's up, guys? Mike here, back with another video. I know I was supposed to put up a couple last week, just timing constraints and schedule and everything really fucked that. We're back today. We're talking about quarterbacks. We're not going to go too much in depth as far as rankings and everything, but I figured just get a quick video up. So we're going to go through probably 6 or 7 quarterbacks. I've got 11 on my list so far. But I'll just go over some of the key names. Obviously, we'll start with Sam Darnold at USC. Everyone's kind of anointed this guy as the golden boy, potential top overall pick next year. And after watching his tape, it's really easy to see why. I mean, really turned around USC season after a terrible start. They benched Max Brown to bring him in. Max Brown ended up having to transfer to Pitt. Sam Darnold really had his coming out party against Washington when he upset them. No one really saw that upset coming, myself included. Everyone thought Washington was going to probably run through USC, and it just didn't end up happening that way. Sam Darnold, most of the reason for that. And then, of course, in the Rose Bowl, when you torch Penn State for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns on the biggest stage, you're going to draw some attention to yourself. Now, yes, the kid's got great leadership, obviously being able to turn around a bad start of the season and save USC, really, and Clay Helton's job and everything. But that doesn't exactly mean that he's a perfect prospect. His delivery is a little bit slow. It almost looks like a baseball windup at times. And slower released quarterbacks don't generally succeed in the NFL. So whether he works on that or not, we'll have to see. But I think, ultimately, this is a good pro comparison. I think he's more of like a Phillip Rivers player. I've seen a lot of, he's got a release like Bortles or like Leftwich. I really think that Phillip Rivers is more of an embodiment of what he is, except I think he's a better athlete than Rivers. Rivers is very much like feet planted in the ground when he's going to throw. Darnold can run, he just most of the time chooses not to. Next up, we'll talk about Josh Rosen out of UCLA. 2 years ago, this kid was the golden boy. This guy is what Sam Darnold is now. First game, he torches Virginia, and everyone's talking about, well, come 2018, it's going to be a number 1 overall pick. Last year, didn't work out that way. He got absolutely nailed in a game. Bad offensive line play, lost a ton of weapons, and he ended up hurting his throwing arm. So he didn't get to play a lot. Hopefully he's able to bounce back this year, have a good season. I have him as my top overall player for next year. His main detraction is obviously that he's coming off of an injury, and that his mouth runs off every once in a while. He says some shit that might get him in a little bit of trouble, or does some shit that might get him in a little bit of trouble, like the fuck Donald Trump had at a golf tournament. Just some really stupid things that he shouldn't be doing. But on the field, it's really hard to find any issues with him. He's a relatively accurate quarterback, not Sam Darnold levels of accurate. Darnold was a completion percentage somewhere around the 60s. But yeah, I really think that overall he's got a lot of potential going forward. He's one of those guys where you can't teach the type of arm talent he's got. He makes every throw look easy. And that's exactly the type of quarterback you want when you're picking at the top of the draft. Let's move on to Josh Allen. Could have been a top 5 pick had he have come out last year as a redshirt sophomore out of Wyoming, which really says a lot. Wasn't offered any scholarships out of high school, went to a JUCO, then transferred to Wyoming and really put up really good numbers in that system last year. 6'5", 230, good athlete. Multiple sports in high school and everything. So again, almost the perfect type of prospect you're looking at, but the problem is that he's a little bit too much of a gunslinger. He'll make some really good plays, and then he'll see a lot of plays where it's like, ugh. It's the same type of thing we saw a lot with Patrick Mahomes, but I think he's got more upside from day one as Pat Mahomes, and we saw Pat Mahomes go 10th. All in all, I think Allen's really good. I think he's maybe a little bit overhyped, and we see this every year. We see a guy at the beginning of the season get hyped up and hyped up and hyped up, but when you watch the tape, it's not really there. A couple years ago with Hackenberg, this is not the same type of thing, because I thought Hackenberg was day 2, day 3, talent back, at the start of the season, and well, he's kind of proven to be right with that. But I think Allen is kind of suffering a little bit from the hype machine. He's obviously going to have some big games to prove himself. He's got to face Boise State, which always has a good defense. He starts off the season against Nebraska, so we'll have to see how he does there. Intriguing prospect, especially considering it's a small school. Really think that he's got a lot of potential going forward. Let's talk about Mason Rudolph from Oklahoma State. A lot like Patrick Mahomes last year, not as good of an athlete, but man, this kid's got a cannon for an arm. And of course, putting up numbers in the Big 12 is pretty easy because I'm pretty sure that conference is allergic to defense. Just puts up video game numbers every single week. I actually really like him. I think a lot of people don't see the same things that I see on tape. I've seen him labeled as like a day 2, day 3 pick, or 3rd or 4th round pick. I have him probably late 1st, early 2nd. I think I see a lot of the same things I saw in Pat Mahomes with him. Maybe not the same type of athlete, but very similar as far as throwing the ball, which is the most important thing that he would do. A couple of things he does need to fine-tune. His delivery sometimes is a little bit off, and that comes with work, and hopefully as he gets more familiar with some of his weapons. I mean, he's got just a loaded receiving core because James Washington is back, Marcel Aitman is back from injury. They brought in a couple more really highly touted recruits. I think a couple of 4-star freshmen that should be making an impact. He's got weapons all around him. He's got a good running back. Oklahoma State, I think, is going to surprise a lot of people this year, and don't be surprised if Mason Rudolph reaps the benefits of that in the draft. Luke Falk from Washington State, another guy that puts up ridiculous stats. Mike Leach quarterback. So that's the knock on him, is he's a Mike Leach quarterback, and those Texas Tech style quarterbacks never really do anything come the next level. Mahomes really being the exception. We'll see if Falk can do the same thing. His completion percentage is just otherworldly, 71% last year, I think. It was way above 66%, which is insane. I really think going forward, Falk needs to put on a little bit of size. He's only about 210 at about 6'3". If he can get up to about 220, 225, that would really help his case, especially considering he's an air raid quarterback, so he's getting hit a lot potentially. He's got a good offensive line, and he did lose his best receiver from last year, but we'll see how he does this year. Lamar Jackson out of Louisville, the defending Heisman Trophy winner. Probably one of the more debated prospects in this upcoming draft because no one's really sure what he's going to do. Is he going to play quarterback? Is he going to play running back? Is he going to play wide receiver? From what I saw, I think he can play quarterback, but I don't think he's going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Unless he puts on a lot of size. NFL Draft Scout has him at 6'1" and 200. And for me, I like my quarterbacks probably about an inch or two taller. I like my guys that are around 6'2", 6'3", and a minimum of about 210, 215, really 220. And he doesn't have that size, but goddamn is he fast, man. It didn't matter who it was that they were facing. No one was able to tackle this kid, and with good reason. The kid's just really fucking good. There's a reason he won the Heisman. I mean, his coming out party was when they just obliterated Florida State on national television, which was a sight to see. I mean, that was the College Game Day game. Layla Ali was there. They were honoring Muhammad Ali and everything else, and I'm thinking, okay, well, that's nice, but sorry, Louisville, Florida State's going to whoop that ass, and it just never happened. They obliterated Florida State and really put themselves on the map. I think he's going to need to have another good year like that, but he's going to really have to improve as a passer to be considered a potential 1st or 2nd round quarterback. And the last guy I'm going to talk about today is Idaho's Matt Linehan. He is the son of Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator and former NFL head coach Scott Linehan. He's at the University of Idaho, which it does not really put out a lot of NFL talent. The last guy I can think of coming out of Idaho was Mike Iupati. Really good quarterback, good size. He's 6'3", 215. He meets my usual, threshold and everything. Good passer. He struggled a little bit against Boise State, but I mean, Idaho was always going to struggle against Boise State because there's just a clear division of talent. But he led Idaho to a 9-4 record last year. They had a really good season, And his most impressive game was in the bowl game against Colorado State. He destroyed Colorado State in the bowl game. Really made it look easy. Really, really put himself on my watch list at least. He's not on a lot of people's watch lists at this point in the season, but he was just a guy I happened to scout because I could find some tape on him, and I really like what I saw from him. Obviously, this year he's going to have to put up similar numbers in order to be considered, but, you know, he's right now in like my top 8 quarterbacks. Another good season, and who knows, good offseason, he could rise. There's always that one guy that no one ever sees coming, whether it's Senior Bowl or good season or whatever. I think if he's able to put all that together, Matt Linehan could surprise some people. So that's going to do it for today, guys. As always, if you're new to the channel, like it, subscribe, comment, leave your thoughts down below. Any quarterbacks that you guys have maybe watched some tape on that you want me to check out for myself, obviously leave them down below. Again, sorry this video was supposed to be put up last week. Sorry that the lighting is really shit. I've kind of had to adjust on the fly, do some videos from work and everything. But, you know, I do what I can. And hope you guys like it. And until next time, guys, talk to you later.